This weekend, the start of the DCU, starting with James Gunn's Superman, comes out. Should you go see it? Let's talk about it. So last night I had the chance to go see the newest Superman movie with David Cornsweet. I'm gonna give all of my thoughts, spoiler free of course, so you don't have to worry about the movie being spoiled for you, or if you're watching this video after. Before we get into that, I do have a lot of cool little goodies and stuff that I got, so I was gonna just show off like what they were giving out at the theater and stuff, so let's take a look at that quick. So the first thing, I don't even know, it's pretty big actually, is a giant Superman cape that, yes, you can actually wear. You get the idea. It's a Superman cape. Pretty cool. Then we got these. Now, listen, when we first got these, I thought they were like, the movie was in 3D, but no, they're just supposed to be like super light refracting and like make everything glow. Yeah. Then we got the popsicle stick with this on it. I don't know what this is about, if we were gonna like go to some kind of rave, but sure. And then finally, usually with these kind of premieres, you get the poster. So there is the glorious Superman. But all right, now let's talk about Superman. So the first thing I think anyone would want to talk about is just how is the new Superman? Does he live up to the hype? Is he, where does he kind of stack against the other Supermen? This is by far, and I know this is like a reach, everyone's gonna say, oh, that's recency bias, all those things. You could say those things, okay? That's totally fine with me, but please at least go see the movie first. For me, David Cornsweet makes it very clear, like early on in the movie, why he's Superman, why he, continues to do what he does, and the main plot of the movie even like challenges what he's doing as Superman and why. And I think that's really special. I think, all of his ideologies as Superman, especially towards the end of the movie where he like blatantly tells Lex, these things. I don't know. It just really felt like he understood the character, and I don't think I could have written it better myself. And now for the opposite side, Lex Luthor is probably going to be one of the most hated characters in all of fiction this year, not because he's a bad actor, but because quite the opposite, he's fantastic. I mean, very early on in the film, like you get to see he has all these goons, right? Like working for him. Like he literally even at one point like tips over like a pencil jar, and like his little like pretty much just his minions, right? Or like, oh, we'll clean that up, Mr. Lex. Like, they're all like, like kissing his feet. And he kind of just like, he believes obviously that like, Superman is wrong. He doesn't like any of like the metahumans, and he makes that known. But he just specifically does not like Superman because he's an alien and he feels threatened by him. What's really interesting is, and something that I've always felt like needed to be, like, I always like when they go down this road with Lex, is they don't just make him like, oh, I'm a super genius and I have to take over the world kind of Lex, because to me that's boring, and you can kind of see that he's a very one-dimensional character. In this, and I think a couple of other versions, you get to see the I think I'm right. Like the kind of, I want to say like the Thanos effect, where Thanos believes what he's doing is right. Lex Luthor truly believes that he's saving humanity. He recognizes that he might, be doing it a little overboard in terms of those methods, but he believes that the end goal should be to not have, these illegal aliens. And that's how he feels. The way he talks about Superman even is so different from the rest of the world. And it just kind of sets him up as this villain. And then from the way he treats people and to not caring what it takes to reach his goal, he's just the ultimate example of what a villain should be. And honestly, I don't have any notes for it. I loved his performance. Hall of Justice, the Justice Society, or the Justice Gang, as they're called in the movie, are a fun addition. And the one thing that I was worried about did not happen. They did not overshadow the Superman in the movie. They're just there enough, and they're kind of like sprinkled and trickled throughout the movie to where like it feels like a bigger universe, but it's not too much. And that's exactly what it should be. You get a couple scenes of Guy Gardner, you get a couple scenes of Hawkgirl. But surprisingly, the one that I didn't expect to be in the movie more was Mr. Terrific, and he actually has, you know, a pretty fun personality, and he just kind of has this, like, I'm a cool guy, but I'm also like just like cut the crap kind of attitude. You get to see a lot of his cool tech and stuff like that. Guy Gardner was probably my favorite just because he's like a goofball. It's Nathan Fillion, so you know he's gonna play the role in a somewhat funny way. There's times that you've probably seen in the trailer where like he'll like have a fist come up and it'll be like the finger to like the one army. I just thought it was great. Every time I saw a Guy or any of the Justice Gang on screen, I was having a good time. I do want to add quick with that, it just kind of goes to show that James Gunn knows what he's doing when it comes to superhero like teams, because he's done the Suicide Squad now, and they're not superheroes, but you get the point. He's done Guardians, and now he's done like the Justice Gang. He just knows what he's doing when it comes to like little team ups and stuff like that. Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen kind of fit into the same kind of category, whereas like they are, you know, very close to Superman. Lois Lane is obviously more close to Superman in that like she is his main love interest. And the thing that I, you know, really enjoyed about her in this movie is she's not just the reporter that's, you know, trying to find the scoop or she's trying to protect Superman. She's taking active efforts in the movie to try and save Superman, figure out this whole thing. Like she is working like while Superman is doing like the actual physical work and like him and his whole team is, you know, fighting Lex Luthor and helping everyone, she's doing like the behind the scenes of like legally putting away Lex Luthor. That's the best way I can put it. And it actually makes for a pretty fun kind of going back and forth. And then obviously you get to see all the scenes between her and Clark. And they're great. They have struggles. It's like a real couple. They have really good chemistry as well. So that's obviously, you know, you want your Superman and Lois to have really good chemistry. Jimmy Olsen was one of my favorites in the movie, as he has like this whole plot line with the one secretary for Lex Luthor. And it's him trying to get information and stuff like that. He also just a lot of little comedy moments and stuff, and honestly just great acting in general. Now, when the movie starts, you are kind of like thrown in right into the mix, and it's known that Superman was like fighting this like guy called like the Hammer or something. They say it and they quickly forget about it because that guy is actually Ultraman. Ultraman and the Engineer are both working for Lex Luthor, and he actually has this whole, you know, separate thing of different creatures from the DC universe he's collected, including Metamorpho. He uses the Engineer and Ultraman to kind of like uses his big time goons, similar to like how Thanos used the Black Order in Infinity War. The Engineer, some of the CGI and just like weird stuff, it was really cool. It was cool to see the Engineer and Ultraman work together. And obviously I won't spoil anything, but if you know anything about Ultraman, the reveal is it's cool, but it's also a little bit funny in just the way that they do it, which makes me want to talk about just for a second. There's this whole thing, the way that, you know, Lex Luthor has complete control over Ultraman, and he like literally has like these, it's like he's like saying like battleship coordinates and just telling him exactly how to fight Superman, and it's really cool, especially in the end when he ends up defeating them. I also will say, I don't know if it was just the theater that I was in, but like the slams, the punches, everything was like big and bold. Like you felt everything. And again, that could just have been my theater, but it was really like, I guess it was just very encapsulating. You did hear me talk about Metamorpho. He's a fun addition to this movie and probably my favorite in terms of CGI and just effects. I mean, the way they, you know, it's very clean and just, my girlfriend actually pointed out to me that you kind of see him in the movie and he looks like this scary monster with all these different materials coming off of his hands and stuff. And then like, he's a sweetheart. And he, you know, all he really wants is to be free and have his baby. The thing that I enjoyed the most about him was you kind of get to see what effect Superman can have on people that are looking for hope, as he's in that jail cell when Superman meets him, and Superman gives him hope. He gives him the hope to escape. And it's just kind of fun seeing like the direct effect Superman can have on someone. Now, with all of that said, you would think that this movie would get very convoluted. Oh man, is there gonna be enough time for Superman? Yes, it all blends very well together into a very, you know, fulfilling and meaningful story about Superman and what it means to be, you know, this alien from another planet. The last thing I'll say is just that it has beautiful CGI that, quite honestly, especially in the third act, there's a lot of like cool character shots like that really focus in that I think I'll be definitely checking out for years to come, like, you know, looking up the clips on YouTube and stuff. Overall, I think, you know, there are going to be people that go into this and or come out of this and they're like, oh, well, you know, that's just completely wrong and everything. And you know what? That is totally your opinion to have. I am not criticizing that or saying that's wrong in any way. But I do think it's important to give, you know, different actors, different creators a chance at different characters. Because, you know, for me, this is by far one of the best Superman, if not the best Superman, as I will have a ranking coming out of all the Superman actors, so stay tuned for that. But I think it's important to, you know, have different people put their hand into the mix and try something, because, you know, we all say that we could do better and they're actually doing it. And I think that's important to, you know, to see. And again, for this case, I absolutely love what James Gunn has done with Superman. But let me know what you guys all thought, if you plan on going to see it this weekend. And I will be trying to get out a review of not only, or a ranking of not only the Superman actors, but of all the live action Superman movies ranked. So stay tuned for both of those videos. And stay tuned for later this month, obviously, as the big competitor for Superman will be Fantastic Four: The First Steps, which I will most definitely be covering, if you could tell by the poster back there. And I will see you guys in the next video. Subscribe, do whatever you gotta do so you don't miss any more reviews. Peace, Colonels.